Good Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for hopping on NCSA Live. I'm David Kamisic, Senior Recruiting Manager here at Next College Student Athlete. Today joined by Recruiting Manager Philip Wells. Philip, good Tuesday afternoon to you.
How you doing, David? It's extremely good Tuesday, and happy to be here joining yourself.
Awesome. Well, glad to have you as always. So as we do every Tuesday, we're going to start with a specific topic in the recruiting world, but certainly encourage you to jot down any questions you may have, whatever social media platform you're watching us on, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Throw any questions you can there in the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to as many as we can over the next half hour. Today's focus, though, is going to be talking about official visits. So how to prepare for an official college visit. So we'll dive into some details here in terms of what is an official visit, what are the NCAA rules surrounding official visits, and of course, how to prepare for an official visit to make sure you're maximizing that opportunity. Official visits are a piece of the recruiting process. It's a piece, though, that occurs very late in the process. A lot of pieces, a lot of things that families need to be doing to lead up to that point where coaches are inviting you onto campus. So, Philip, let's start with really stripping it down. What is an official college visit? What is that in the grand scheme of recruiting?
Absolutely. These are highly sought after. Official visits are really any form of an invitation out to a college campus where that student athlete and family are coming out, and the college, the institution, they're taking on part of the financial responsibility of it. Whether it be transportation, usually some of the meals, usually some of the activities hosted on the campus. Again, usually a pretty big deal if you are actually given an official visit. And typically college coaches, they hold and reserve their official visits to a higher standard. Okay, they hold them off for their top recruits. And again, if you get one as a recruit, it's a really good sign, and it serves as a really big milestone in your recruiting process and journey overall. And as everyone can imagine, with anything in reference towards an official visit where the institution is, again, taking on a financial responsibility, the NCAA is, of course, going to put a ton of different rules in place. Okay, there's regulations absolutely in place when it comes to official visits at every single division level. And a lot of them can be most strict at a Division I level. David, talk a little bit about just some of those regulations as it pertains to the Division I level.
Yeah, the Division I schools, obviously they have the strictest, communication time point, certainly when it comes to official visits as well. So for the NCAA, they allow recruit to make 5 official visits to a Division I school. So again, this is a pretty big deal. You have to think about all the schools that maybe have been contacting you and talking to you and getting on radars. And then once those coaches do decide, hey, we're willing to bring you onto campus for an official visit, you may have 10 schools you're talking to, but you can only take 5 official visits and 1 per school. D2, D3 schools are also limited to 1 per school, but there's no limit in terms of the amount of visits you can take to a Division III school at NAIA, junior college D2s as well. I think it's also important to talk about an unofficial visit. So an unofficial visit is really just a student athlete and their family going to campus, maybe an opportunity to meet with that coach, but you're paying the leg, you're paying the way for it. But an official visit, again, as Philip mentioned, that's where coaches are paying for maybe flights or hotels or food or getting tickets to a game. So the official visit is really an important sign. Coaches and programs, they're typically limited in terms of the amount of budget money they have available for their program. So as Philip mentioned, they're bringing in some of their top recruits. They're not just offering anyone to come out for an official visit. It's who of the kids they have identified, evaluated, been talking to, and get to that point that they're willing to bring them on to campus for an official visit. Typically, an official visit is maybe where an offer happens, or you start to talk, scholarship opportunities. So things can really get accelerated at that point for an official visit. But official visits, 48 hours is kind of the time frame. So you're looking typically at a weekend over a summer, a couple days. But official visits, again, for D1 sports can begin August 1st before a student athlete's junior year of high school. So again, once those communication dates can start, that's when the official visits can really start happening. We do have a list of all these rules. Again, it's complicated. It can be a lot for a family to take in, but if you visit the website there, the link, we'll post that in the Facebook page as well. Click on that. That has all the different rules and different division levels, and really kind of lays out what to expect when it comes to the point of getting to that official visit. But once you're on campus, Philip, the official visit can be fun. It can be exciting. It's an opportunity for you to learn about that program, for coaches to try to really lure you in, but also for you to impress them. So how does a family prepare for an official visit? You've, I'm sure, took a couple visits in your days before making your decision on where to play college ball. So what can families expect, or how do you prepare for that official visit to really make the most out of it and really leave a good impression with that coach or that program?
Absolutely. One thing just to note, to preface things amongst preparing for an official visit, is just another notion of the value of an official visit. Know that while we talked about, again, student athletes being able to take 5 official visits at the Division I level, and maybe unlimited at D2 and D3, but only 1 per school, it's also worth noting that college coaches, college programs, they are limited amongst how many official visits they can give. Now, it does vary depending on their budgets. Again, with the Division I, a greater budget comes greater allotment of official visits. So definitely, again, I wanted to extend that note as well, that it's very valuable because college coaches don't just have unlimited official visits. So you should feel very special, very honored if you're invited, okay, amongst the official visit. And as we're stepping into, our big time official visit, we do want to prepare. We don't want to go in blind. And the first aspect that we want to knock out to make sure we can ace our official visit is making sure we can register with the Eligibility Center. Okay, this is the NCAA Eligibility Center where you're sending your transcripts over, where you're actually paying a fee. Okay, so with that being said, make sure you're with a parent. As a student athlete, you do have to pay a fee to register with the Eligibility Center, and that's towards the NCAA to make sure that academically and athletically you are acceptable and eligible to play at the college level amongst the NCAA. So those are things that need to be taken care of in the NCAA Eligibility Center before you even show up to campus, okay? Because once you complete that in the Eligibility Center, you're going to be given an NCAA ID number, okay? And typically before you even show up to campus, that college coach at that program is going to ask for that number to verify that all eligibility is intact amongst who you are as a student athlete. So it may be the most important, it may be a little bit relative, but making sure we can fill out all necessary paperwork within the Eligibility Center prior to going into an official visit is going to be extremely important. This is usually a good step towards the middle to end of sophomore year. Now, amongst the Eligibility Center, once that's complete, we have to take note that that's going to house our transcripts. That's going to house important information that college coaches need. But before we get to that official visit, we still want to do our due diligence to even send over our transcripts and information to the admissions office in that school. Okay, yes, they can access it through the Eligibility Center, but you want to be overly diligent when it comes to being a student athlete potentially at this given program to make sure you not only are eligible for what the NCAA requires to play in college, but you also have to make sure you're eligible for that specific school you're looking at. Okay, not every school has the same eligibility guidelines as the NCAA. So you want to be extremely diligent with the first 2 important steps of making sure, again, you can fill out the Eligibility Center information, but also sending over your transcripts over to that admissions office.
Yeah, we talk about the importance of academics when it comes to the recruiting process. Certainly, this is an important piece of it, is getting that information to the coaches. Again, depending on the school, they may have different requirements in terms of the type of student they're looking to bring in as well. So having all that's certainly important. As I mentioned earlier, offers, it's not something that's guaranteed on an official visit. Sometimes a student athlete may get an offer before a visit. Sometimes a student athlete may get an offer on a visit. Sometimes it may happen after a visit. But it's important to know that if an offer does happen on an official visit, which is fairly common, how do you answer that? Excuse me. How do you respond to that coach? You don't want to be getting an offer and just saying yes and then not thinking it through, but you also don't want to panic in the moment or freeze on the spot. So go into that official visit with a game plan for how you would respond if a coach does get to that point. Again, if you're on an official visit, that is a really good sign that that coach, that program likes you, and it could lead to an official visit and an offer. So again, have a game plan as to how to respond to that. If it's a top school, if you've maybe taken your other official visits and you go there and you really feel like that's home, that's the coaching staff you want to be with, that's where you want to spend 4 or 5 years of your life, don't be afraid to commit on the spot. But again, you have to know, based on the circumstances surrounding your recruiting, is that the right fit? Is it the right time on an official visit to make that commitment? Coaches typically aren't going to put too much pressure on you to make it on the spot until you have some time to maybe think about it, kind of reflect on the experience that you had there. But again, if other schools are on your list that you're still going to maybe take an official visit to, you can ask that coach, hey, how long is this offer out there? When do you need to know by? Because some coaches will maybe offer 5 kids for one spot they're looking for, and the first student athlete to take that offer may be the one they take, and everyone else is moving on to the next step. So again, be in communication with that coach. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. Coaches should be able and understanding as to how to respond to that. But again, that's an important thing, Philip, is you have to prepare, right? From what you wear to how you act. Put your cell phone in your pocket. Don't be, playing on your cell phone the whole time when you're on this tour, but putting a list of questions together to ask that coach is something that can really stand out for a student athlete. It shows you're prepared. It shows that you've put thought and consideration into their program or the university or the academics. So having some questions prepared leading into that visit, again, is something that can really help stand out for a student athlete. Maybe help that coach really want you that much more.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about it, we obviously want to make sure that the college coach is impressed with our, preparedness, and making sure the college coach understands that, hey, yes, we're very interested in this program. And with that interest comes questions. But also think about it as, the family's basis, the individual's basis. We're talking, and David, you prefaced it, we're talking 4 to 5 years, in some cases more, when it comes to, going to this program, going to college. And it's pretty hard not being on campus and getting all your questions answered. So sit down with your family before you go. Sit down maybe with your high school coach, with your club coach. Really spend some time developing a keen list of questions that are not only there to impress the coach, but formulate questions that you genuinely are serious about and that will impact your seriousness amongst the program. And really get those questions answered. You're going to be at the campus. You're going to see maybe a depiction of what student life is like, what an athlete's life is like at the program. In some cases, you're going to see a game. You're going to see what meals are like. Ask questions to see what your life would potentially be like at that program for a 4-year span. And that may be a positive or a negative amongst how you get your questions answered. But the overall judgment there is, hey, now I can feel confident coming out of my official visit with, hey, this is the program for me. I feel extremely confident. Or, hey, I was able to learn a lot of great things. And I've since learned that based upon the questions that I got answered, this program may not be the best fit for me. And either way is okay. But what's not okay is going in blind, not getting questions answered, and then leaving that official visit right where you started, because that does justice for no one, the college coach or the student athlete and family.
Yeah, and for each family, it's a little bit different, right? What's important to me in my recruiting process may be different than what it is for you, right? Maybe I want to start right away. Maybe I want to play my freshman year. Maybe you're okay coming off the bench and working your way into a spot. So again, from academics, from the location, from the financial aspect, from just a comfort level of that being your home for 4 or 5 years. Again, it's a process. So again, capitalize on these opportunities. If you get the invite to go on an official visit, you're going to take that official visit. Again, that's a really good sign. But there's ways that you can stand out. There's ways that you can separate yourself and really make that coach want you, just as much as there's ways that maybe you can go on that official visit. Maybe that coach isn't super impressed, or maybe they don't think that you're the right fit for the program. So you're almost testing each other out, right? You're trying to figure out, is this school the right fit for me? And a lot of times coaches are trying to figure out, all right, is this student athlete the right fit for our program? So it goes both ways. So again, the more you can prepare, the more you can really understand what's going to be important in that decision. Again, whether it's your first visit, whether it's your 5th, your 3rd, wherever that is, you're going to get an idea as to, is this school going to be the right fit for me? And again, if you can capitalize on that experience while you're at that event or while you're at that visit, that's where you're going to set yourself up to, again, make sure that you're hopefully choosing the right piece as well. I think it's, again, important to know that an official visit is very late in the recruiting process. It's not all of a sudden, hey, a coach finds me, calls me today, and invites me on an official visit tomorrow. That's very rare. There's usually a courting process. There's the coaches identifying you. evaluating you on video, maybe then coming out to see you play in person, starting to exchange some emails, some phone calls, then the official visit will happen. So again, if there's an A to Z in the recruiting process, and Z is you committing and putting your name on that national letter of intent, I would say X is probably the official visit. It's late in the process, but it's a really good sign that that coach has an interest in you. And again, something that you should feel proud that you got to that point, but also want to make sure that you're maximizing that experience as much as you can. So again, the official visits can be exciting. There's a lot of anticipation, a lot of kind of behind the scenes of the program, the school. And not only do you have the opportunity to see the college campus, but it also signifies that that coach is very interested in recruiting you and possibly bringing you onto their program. So again, make sure you're prepared for those visits. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to stand out while you're there. Again, knowing that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You can't redo that official visit. And a lot of times impressions in person can really stand out and be important. Plus, with COVID for the past, 16, 17 months, a lot of these kids haven't been able to go on official visits, right? The NCAA had it in place for D1 up until, I believe, June 1st, where, coaches weren't able to have kids on campus. So coaches these days, too, they might be rushing a little bit, trying to make up some lost ground for the opportunity they didn't have last year. So, Philip, I think COVID's definitely thrown a little bit of a wrench in the official visit process. Again, for a 14-month period, coaches weren't able to have kids on campus for official visits, and now the floodgates are back open, and I'm sure coaches are eager to bring kids out to try to lure them again to come to their school. But again, it's a process. It takes multiple steps before you're at that point where you're getting that official visit.
Absolutely. Definitely multi-layered. And I know the emphasis is certainly heavily on official visits, but again, that comes X. If we're talking A to Z, okay, that comes X. That comes later in the process. So with that, I definitely wanted to note that don't be afraid to take an unofficial visit. Okay, sometimes taking an unofficial visit when you're proactively just going to that school, catching a game, showing up on campus, maybe letting the coach, you're just going to be there that day either way. That can show a coach down the line that, hey, this candidate was very serious early on and even went out of their way in their personal time to come visit our campus. That can go into the decision-making process when it comes to offering a student athlete an official visit. So within that, definitely don't be afraid to get out to some programs if you haven't gotten your official visit. It definitely shows a whole lot to a college coach from your seriousness and really the standpoint that you hold that current school. And then the other thing I wanted to note, we talked a lot about the regulations. We talked a lot about the strict rules from the NCAA and what you should be doing to get prepared as a student athlete. All that mentioned, I want to also throw out, have some fun. Okay, have some fun. Official visits are a great thing. They, again, are a chance where you can most likely communicate with some of the other players already on campus. In some cases, you may have a host where the college coach designates someone, maybe one of their players, to show you around the day in the life as a student athlete. So have some fun. Be on your best behavior. First impressions are absolutely everything. But have some fun. Have some fun. This is your true depiction of what it's going to be like potentially at that college program. So again, execute your first impression. Don't forget to have fun.
Yeah, it's a fun aspect, and again, you get to see some pretty cool things and get in the locker room maybe, or check some of the behind the scenes stuff. So certainly enjoy that moment if you get there for sure. Well, we got some questions coming in here, so I want to get through a couple of these. We'll start with Dawn. Dawn wants to know, do you have to register with the NCAA for Division III? So just to kind of clarify, the NCAA for the Eligibility Center is Division I and Division II schools only. The NCAA does not oversee the Division III athletic programs. Each school kind of has their own individual requirements and what they're looking for, so it doesn't necessarily need to be registered for the NCAA Eligibility Center if you're looking to go D3. Also, the NAIA does have their own eligibility center that is separate from the NCAA. Safest way to do it is if your student athlete is serious about playing in college and exploring even any opportunities, register for the eligibility center. Just make sure you have that off your list. And that's an important piece here as well. That leads into the next one. Philip will let you answer this one, but where does my son get the NCAA number from? How do we go about that? Can you kind of explain that a little bit more in depth?
Absolutely. So you absolutely can access that from the NCAA website. And even better, you can go directly to the Eligibility Center website. Again, NCAA Eligibility Center. It's a little bit of a weird website. I'm not sure if we can throw that on the screen, but it looks a little weird, but you're able to go directly to that website and you can call them directly, but it's pretty straightforward amongst actually filling out the paperwork and the forms on that actual website. And the last thing to note, and this serves from both previous questions, college coaches are very receptive to helping you out because helping you out helps them out. Here's the website where you can access it directly amongst the Eligibility Center. Okay, a little bit of a weird one, but again, it's very much the Eligibility Center. And if you need a little bit of additional help, don't hesitate to reach out to us here at NCSA, and you can always ask a certain college coach directly.
Yeah, and a lot of the college programs have admissions people that can help out with that. Your high school may have some people, their admissions or their counselors that can help out with that as well. But typically, once you've paid that price, that $85, I believe, is what it is. That's when you'll get your number. Once you've paid that, that's when it comes through. So, got a question here from Stephanie regarding official visits. We talked about being prepared, having a list of questions to kind of come to. Stephanie wants to know, Philip, is it okay for the student to bring a written list of questions to help them remember them?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Absolutely, Stephanie. Absolutely. It's encouraged. Bring that list of questions. We're not perfect, and typically you should have a whole lot of questions. So we know how easy it is to forget things on the fly with, especially with being impressed by a college coach in a college campus. Bring that list of questions. That's going to be another tool to impress that coach and to make sure you don't forget anything.
Yeah, and these days, I think, you can jot notes down on your phone and maybe kind of look when you need to. So maybe you don't have to pull out a scroll with all your questions. But stuff will certainly pop up as well. And again, I think the great thing about official visits too is you'll have opportunities to meet with, coaches, players, certain faculty, maybe even, or admissions. So there's going to be different types of people that you would meet with on that official visit. So you can, cater your questions specifically to whatever it is that you're looking for and who you're meeting with, or get a chance again to see some of the dorms, or just again get a chance to see some of that life. So if you have a list of questions written down, that's great. And again, college coaches know that they've been through this too, right? You're not the first student athlete coming on a visit and uncertain as to kind of what it expects. But again, if you can just be prepared, it really will help you stand out maybe a little bit more than most student athletes. So cool. So we appreciate the questions that are coming in. Again, official visits are exciting. It is again a step along the path. It's a late step in that process of recruiting, but certainly a very positive sign that if you are invited on to an official visit, that coach wants to bring you on campus, that they're pretty highly interested in you. So awesome, cool. We're going to get to some recent commitments here as we do. Like shout out some of the recent student athletes who have made their college decision and made that commitment already, and they may have already been on an official visit. So first and foremost, we're going to start in the beach with Ashley Pater. Ashley is from Florida. She's a 2023 grad. So she's not even started her junior year of college, or high school, excuse me. And she's already verbally committed to play beach volleyball at USC. So heading across the country here. Connected with USC through our network. They viewed her profile 16 times, exchanged 35 different emails. But Ashley was extremely proactive early on in the recruiting process. Had 354 emails exchanged with college coaches. 83 different coaches viewed her profile, which is a really high number in a smaller volume sport like beach volleyball. So she's heading across the country. A fun little fact here as well: her sister Brooke is a incoming senior in high school this year. She's committed to the University of Tampa for volleyball as well. So both the Pater sisters taking advantage of their skills and their opportunities, and again, some great opportunities to play in college. Philip, this is my favorite action photo in the history of us doing these commits.
We got to get one of you out there like that.
I would break every bone in my body if I tried to do that. Or I feel like I would be like a police dog would be coming after me or something, and I'd be like running scared. But awesome action photo in field hockey for Carolyn Grebe. Again, another 2023 grad. So someone entering her junior year, already made her verbal commitment to Wake Forest University in North Carolina. Carolyn's from Texas, so again, making a pretty good venture across the country. But again, very active. 410 email exchanges with college coaches. Her profile was searched or popped up in 911 different searches from college coaches. So again, we talk about the importance of starting this process early and how there are so many different steps that lead up to the point of an official visit and committing. Carolyn, Ashley, perfect examples of student athletes and families that started this process early, and obviously have seen some great results and can kind of sit back and relax and enjoy the next 2 years of high school and not having to be stressed out about recruiting and where they're going to be going. So congratulations to Carolyn as well. Phil, up to you for our last shout out here.
Absolutely, last but certainly not least. And man, it's not so much of a diving action shot, but some real high quality there coming from Jay Sasita. Jay Sasita, looking at a lacrosse guy, Southwestern University. A little bit of background on Jay. It's a family from Texas originally. They were open to traveling, but found some gold right at home in Texas at Southwestern University. They were extremely active. Okay, and one thing we have in common with the three of these commits, all of them being very active, all of them being very proactive in the recruiting process. And along with Jay, again, looking at his profile that he has on our network, starting with him, he logged into the profile, interacted with college coaches, updated his recruiting information, number one, over 140 times. Okay, I think that's something that really sets the tone just from Jay's efforts towards A, updating his information for college coaches, and B, also reaching out to college coaches. And then you look at some of his work paying off, obviously with the big time commitment as he goes into senior year, but also just looking at the aspect from college coaches, college coach activity. Jay received 109 profile views and 43 follows, meaning college coaches following his profile directly and getting notified when Jay updates the profile. So I think it speaks a lot towards Jay and the rest of the four commits, if you include Ashley's sister, that these athletes were extremely proactive in the process, extremely active in the process. And again, super happy for Jay finding his best fit university right there in Texas.
Yeah, we're biased, obviously, but those numbers, I think, speak volumes of the power of our network. And again, the value and importance of starting this process early. And how, again, taking all those steps can lead to the official visits, lead to those commitments, and really maximize the recruiting process, which is awesome. So again, if you have any questions individually, if you're looking to get a profile started for your student athlete, reach out to us. Again, that's what we do. We help coaches, help student athletes throughout this process, and want to make sure that you've got everything in a row for your student athlete as well. And an important piece of the profile, an important piece of getting identified and evaluated is a highlight video. That's actually what we'll be talking about here next Tuesday, the importance of recruiting videos and making sure that families are knowing what to do and how those work. So again, that's next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central here. We're back. But Philip, always a pleasure. Again, some great information here, some exciting stuff. And always look forward to these Tuesday conversations with you. So again, Philip Wells, I'm David Kamisek. We appreciate you hopping on NCSA Live today. Have a great rest of your week and hopefully see you back here next Tuesday.
See you soon, everybody.